session of a short session of Halachot. So last time we were speaking about Halachot of Shachrit, and if you remember, we spoke about these 4 different parts of the Tefillah. The Tefillah of the Korbanot, which we said was corresponding to the Olam Asiyah, Olam Briya. Atzilut, Briya, Yetzirah, Asiyah. They go back in. The highest level is Atzilut. To get from the opening of the Siddur to the highest level of the Amidah, that's the peak. We said the Amidah is the peak of the Tefillah of Shachrit. You have to go through 4 stages, and you can't miss a stage. We said that's like missing. So we said the Korbanot is the first stage. You should say some of the Korbanot, and Shulchan Aruch said it's good to say it, and especially if you think nowadays the Korbanot is corresponding to the sacrifices that were in the Beit HaMikdash. Beit HaMikdash was where the God's presence was resting. And now this tsar of the Shekhinah. Tsar of Shekhinah means this pain for the presence of the Shekhinah. If you think about it, when the Beit HaMikdash was around, we were all able to go and see the Beit HaMikdash. Even people used to go to the Beit HaMikdash, sometimes you become prophets. Yonah Hanavi became a prophet just from one time they came to Beit HaMikdash. That was God's presence. People went there and they got chizuk in Yirat Shamayim just by being in the Beit HaMikdash, in that presence. We don't have that anymore. And the service of the Beit HaMikdash was the Korbanot. Now I don't know how to explain what was the importance of it, but obviously that was the main avodah. And nowadays we don't have that anymore. And it's tzar for the Shekhinah. And we said v'nishlama parim sefatenu. Instead of that service of the Korbanot, what do we have? We have our prayer, our service. So if a person can come a few minutes early to Shachrit, or at least 1 or 2 times a week to say the Korbanot, you're making Hashem happy. You're fulfilling the sacrifices of the temple, what David HaMelech wanted to build, that Shlomo HaMelech built. We have an opportunity to do that every day in the Siddur. We just open, only 10 minutes. That's it. So just think about it. Next time you're going to be able to do that. That's the first stage necessary of Olam Asiyah. The next stage is Psukei Dezimra. So, as a summary, we say that the main part of Psukei Dezimra, anybody remember? There's 3 main parts of Psukei Dezimra. It starts with Baruch She'amar, then we have Asher Yeshuvitecha in the middle, and the ending is Yishtabach. Those are the 3 main parts. If a person needs to miss out and he's late, do a little bit part of the Korbanot, maybe the Korban Tamid, which is short and you can read it, and every day it's good to read that, and then join in from the Baruch She'amar, Ashrei, and Yishtabach. If you have more time, then read the Hallelujah. Hallelujah is very important because we say it's Zmirot. Zmirot from the Lashon of Lizmor, to cut, to prune. And then is the brachot of Shema Yisrael. So the brachot of Shema are very just important halacha, talking. If a person needs to break up his tefillah, he needs to pray a little bit at home, a little bit on the train, on the tube, I don't know, or a little bit after he takes his kids, if he wants to break it up. So there's a part of tefillah we don't have to talk at all. In between Baruch She'amar and Yishtabach, not allowed to talk at all. There's a part where you just pray. In between Yishtabach, before the brachot of Shema Yisrael, you are allowed to talk then. So if you need to split up your tefillah, even though it's all, it's a hierarchy, climbing, right? But once you've got to one stage, then you can say what you need. For example, to putting on tefillin. You're not allowed to put on tefillin in the middle between Baruch She'amar and Yishtabach. You have to make a bracha for the tefillin. So what do? Or before you Baruch She'amar, you put on a tefillin, before Korbanot, after the Birkat HaShachar. Or if you don't have tefillin or talit, you don't put it on. You just put it on after Yishtabach, before the brachot of Shema Yisrael. Why? Because it's very important not to talk at all in between those stages.
Can you say the Korbanot and Baruch She'amar and etc. without tefillin and talit?
So very good. So you're supposed to put on the tefillin after Birkat HaShachar, before.
But you do read the first parshia. You read the first parshia of tefillin in between.
What do you mean? Kadesh li kol bechor.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so very good. So that's part of the tefillin. It's not a chova, it's good to read that with the tefillin. But we're talking about the main part of the korbanot. If a person doesn't have tefillin, or for example, a person is traveling for a minyan. So on your way to traveling to the minyan, you maybe want to start korbanot. So you can start korbanot, get to the synagogue, put on tefillin, and then do Baruch She'amar. Okay, of course, the earlier you could do it, the better. If you put on tefillin, the better. But sometimes you're traveling, you can't have that option. You're maybe taking a train, you have to cut up sometimes.
But basically, as long as you put tefillin before it will call Teshbach.
Shema Yisrael, yeah. No, there's no way you do Shema Yisrael without tefillin. Or maybe there is. There is one way if it's Sof Zman Kriyat Shema. If it's Sof Zman Kriyat Shema, then you say Kriyat Shema without the tefillin. But if you have time, you put on tefillin and say Kriyat Shema. It's very important to say Kriyat Shema with tefillin. The Gemara talks very badly about somebody who says Kriyat Shema without tefillin. And that's the main part to do.
אבל מותר.
Mutar only if you're going to miss the Zman of Kriyat Shema.
Yeah.
So if you are, let's say you're in the car and you're running to shul and you're late,
Yes.
so you start to do some korbanot. Where should you stop?
Okay, thank you for that question. So the first thing you want to be saying is B'kot HaShachar. Okay, that you're going to say. If you want to start korbanot, you can say as much as you can up to Hodu. And even then, Hodu is already the next stage, but you can still say Hodu and put on tefillin after Hodu. Up to Baruch She'amar, you can say everything and then put on your tefillin. After you say start Baruch She'amar, you cannot put on your tefillin. Only after Yishtabach. Does that answer your question, Meir?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then you say the main part of the Amidah.
What's better if a person's running late? Is it better to do it the korbanot before in the car so that it's in order, or is it better to do it after?
Interesting question. You mean after with tefillin or before without tefillin? That's your question?
Yeah, after you finish with tefillin, yeah.
Okay, so it's a very interesting question. I've never thought about this before, and I don't know exactly, but I would make a calculation that it would be better to make it in order beforehand. And I'll say why I think that's the answer. Because according to some opinions, especially at Pisod, it's definitely better to do it beforehand without tefillin. According to Pisod, there is some opinions also that Halachot to do that, not to skip out anything. According to Rabbi Vaida, we do skip if we need to, but according to Mukubanim, there's no catching up afterwards. You do everything as said. You miss the minyan, but you say everything in order because it's very important, tremendous importance in saying everything in order. It's like there's two important things, right? Saying in order and with minyan. And when they clash, that's when you have the machloket what to do first. On one hand, you need to do everything in order. Okay, like you've got a phone number to dial. You've got every digit in the right place. Can't mess up the order. So there's an extra advantage of having tefillin. That's extra ma'ala. There's an extra ma'ala of having the minyan. But the first thing is to have the order according to the Mekubalim. According to Chama Vadia and other poskim of the Pashtanim, then the main thing is the minyan. But not giving up the order entirely. You still have to have some korbanot, some psukei de zimra, Baruch She'amar Ashrei and Yishtabach, and then Shema Yisrael and Amidah with the minyan. Even if the rest can't be with the minyan, the main thing is Amidah with the minyan, and the main thing is that you have the four parts in order. Later on, you can catch up. Obviously, it's not going to be the same, but there is a possibility, and that is the halachic compromise. So, if that is halachic compromise, it makes sense to me that it would be better to keep the order of the korbanot, even without tefillin, as long as you're saying the main part of the tefillah with tefillin. Psukei de zimra with tefillin, Shema Yisrael and Amidah. Okay? We're going to stop here for tonight. If there's any other questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you all for joining me. Maybe I'll just end off with one halacha. Last halacha. If we're still recording, yeah, tzitzit. So in this week's parasha, at the end is all we talk about tzitzit after the spice. There's tzitzit. So there's one thing about people going to exercise and gym and people doing workout. And I'm definitely all for doing exercise, yeah. regular exercise is good for the body, it's good for the soul, it's good for the mind. It does a lot of good things for a person. And mitzvah, Shmartem od nafshotechem, Rambam says also has benefits. Putting on a tzitzit is keneged kol Torah mitzvot. Right? Now some people when they're doing exercise, so what goes off? Off goes the kippah, off goes the tzitzit. Now I don't really have a problem with taking off the kippah because some people keep the kippah and take off the tzitzit because it's not comfortable than that. Okay, so when I exercise, I put on a cap because a cap is more comfortable. Now you don't have to do that. Okay, baby. There's not really Torah obligation or mitzvah. In Shulchan Aruch, I don't know, sometimes it says to put on a kippah. Only when you're eating and when you're making barachot, when you're learning Torah, then you must put on a kippah. But if you maybe do exercise, for Yirat Shamayim, it's good to always have a kippah. For a child, for Yirat Shamayim, for a child, put on a kippah, very young age, as young as he can keep it on his head. Some people clip it to his head. But just to remember there's something on top of it. But if you need to, take it off. That's fine. But tzitzit, how can you lose every second of mitzvah of tzitzit? You didn't need to do anything. Yeah, you can put it over your t-shirt, under your t-shirt, over your vest. As long as you're not in the shower, keep your tzitzit on. Why should you lose it? David Amelech said, what will I do without not having any mitzvah if I take off my tzitzit? When he went to the mikveh, he said, I don't have any mitzvah on me. He was crying about it. Until he said, no, you still have your brit milah, that's your mitzvah. But every second is a mitzvah, and tzitzit is shakul keneged kol Torah kula. All of the Torah is in the tzitzit. So I say, if you need to, take off a kippah, but leave your tzitzit. And down, people walk around, kippah's on, tzitzit's off. No, tzitzit. Keep it. If you want to keep your kippah in your pocket just for brachot and just for tefillah and just for eating or limud Torah, okay, you go ahead there. But tzitzit, don't on the tzitzit. Okay, thank you all for joining the show, for joining me. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. Peace and
nice
enjoy your Shabbat. And everyone who is invited next week for another show. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Mao. Good night.